This video is on controls in Scratch and how those work. Let's show this off. All right, controls right up here. This is a lot of loops and a lot of like loops and if and else. So if you've done other programming languages, this might be familiar. But let's start this off. We have things I'm going to call loops. So we got these two types of loops, this repeat loop and this forever loop. And then there's also a repeat until loop. And let's explain the differences. So forever is the first one. Let's go over. This means it'll just keep looping forever. So whatever code is in there, it just keeps going over and over and over again. So it keeps looping around. So let's say I put a motion in here, and this is for Scratch, right? If I just click this right here, it's gonna keep running this one piece of code over and over and over again, moving 10 steps forward. Okay. Now, what else? Other things I can add in here. So just to show you more than one movement, maybe I have it turn 15 degrees and move forward. I'm gonna make that 5 degrees. Why not? Make that 5 degrees and move forward. They'll just keep kind of going in this circle because he's turning 5 degrees, move forward, turn 5 degrees, move forward. There I go. There, that's Scratch for you. What else could I do in this? So you can do all sorts of things in the movement. There you go for your forever loop. Now, sometimes you only want to repeat it a certain number of times. So I'm going to say repeat 10. Maybe I want it to move 10 times. So I do this and it moves 10 times only. Sometimes, so if you want to do it just for a limited number of times, maybe you have a few movements in there. And you can also put, there's other events you can put in here, but that's the idea. I want to repeat something a certain number of times, 5 times, 3 times, boom, it'll repeat that loop. All right. Now, the last loop right here is this repeat until loop. So it's a different shape. I haven't done these in these videos yet. This one will be a forever loop. It'll keep repeating until this event is true. So let's go in this event in this shape. So that is actually one of these operators. So we have the idea of true and false. So watch the operators video. We'll explain more of this later. But let's see. Let's say we can take Scratch. I want to repeat. I want to keep moving for 10 steps forward until, let's say, Scratch's position is Scratch's X value is 100. Repeat until Scratch's X value is greater than 100. So I'm going to do this greater than 100. And you can look at Scratch's X coordinate. So how do I pull this up? You actually go to motion up here and go to this X position. I can drag that right in here. So until the X position reaches 100, right now it's at 167 right there. It's going to keep moving 10 steps forward. Notice he stops right there because he's now at 109. That's greater than 100. So it's stopped out of that loop. If I moved him here, and he's going to stop at about that same position. All right. So repeats until this event is true. And more of that kind of stuff will happen in the operators. All right. Those are the loops. Next thing, let's talk about if and else. So we got this if and if else thing. Now, if you're in other programming, we did Python before. We had if, else. I don't see else ifs in here. I just see if and else. So that's kind of, I guess you can kind of like build those in somehow. But so this is just something, this code will run once. So these were loops. They'd loop a certain number of times or loop forever or whatever, right? Well, maybe you want something to only happen once if a certain condition is true. So for example, let's say I did this. If I said, I'm going to take the same code and said, if the X position is greater than 100, I want Scratch not to move forward. I think he should just say something. He should say hello, right? No, we're going to say hello for 2 seconds, for 1 second. I don't want to do it for more than this. So this if loop says, if this is true, then run all the code inside. So if the X position of Scratch is greater than 100, it's going to say hello. Scratch says hello because his X position right now is 176. I move him here. He's at 90 for X. Not going to say anything. Move him here. He's at 125. He says something. Move him here. Says nothing. So if this is true, run this and it only runs one time, then it'll get to the next part of the code. Okay, so I could put code outside of this. I could put more code in here, whatever I want to do, right? So that's ifs. Now, I also have this if else. So where the ifs is if this is true, run this say. what if I want different code to run if that is not true, if that is false? So I want him to say hello, but if it's false, I want him to move forward 10 steps. So watch what happens here. Every time I click this, okay, it's still false because his position's not greater than 100, so it's going to keep moving forward 10 steps. And I keep doing this, and I keep doing this until now he's saying hello because he's finally, the X position's greater than 100, so he's going to say hello for 1 second. All right? And that's how the if else works. So sometimes you want one choice or the other. It'll only happen once. Then it continues on with the code. All right. Other things in control. There's a wait and there's a stop. So wait until and a stop all. So sometimes you have like your code. Like so far, we just kind of messed with simple stuff where one sequence of code is happening and then and that's it. But you know, in real Scratch, you might have this sprite's doing one thing and the other sprite's doing another thing. So wait until says, hey, for the sequence of events here, wait until some other event is true before you continue on. So for example, I'm going to have, I'm going to say, wait until, let's say we wait until a certain event, certain something happens. Let's wait until, oh, we can't say Abby's X position. Okay, so wait until X position is greater than 100. And then after the X position is greater than 100, I want it to say hello. So watch what I'm doing here with this wait until. So I run this, and it's running right now. It's just sitting here waiting because Scratch's X position is negative 140. But watch, I'm just going to start moving him forward. This is going to behave just like, kind of like we did last time. And now it runs that code. So his position just, it's just kind of checking all the time. It's kind of like the repeat until in a way, but it's a repeat until like as a blank one. So like, here's the thing. If I just did this code like this wait until and this repeat until, these should just behave the same way. Like I had this code, and then now I kept moving Scratch forward. Yeah. So wait until like this and repeat until, those are going to behave the same way. It's just if repeat is blank in here. So there you go. Now stop. Stop is a function where I can say, oh, I can put this at the end of the code and I can say, hey, stop this script of code. Although, so why would I ever want to do that? Typically, you don't have to. Maybe if you have like a lot of choices, especially with if else choices, or a certain thing happens, you want maybe you want to stop this script. So other things you can do, you can have it stop everything in the code. Just stops everything. I think it stops only things on this sprite though. You can have it stop this script, which mean like this like chunk block of code right here, or you can make it stop the other chunks of code. So if I run stop, actually, if I ran stop, you know what? Here's a way to show this. If I had Scratch moving backwards on a forever loop, as soon as I hit the stop button, he stops. Notice that? I have to be so fast with that. So I have him moving backwards. When I hit that stop button, it stops. But if I was having to move backward and it said stop this script, it's not, because this is just, script means this chunk of code. I can have it say all, and it'll stop that backward movement right there too. Let's say I have Abby moving. I kind of want to move her in a forever loop going forward. Say 0.2. Say Abby's moving forward. If I do stop all and Scratch, notice it stopped everything. Let's say I had Scratch moving backwards. I can say stop this script. Does nothing. Stop other scripts in the sprite. It stops Scratch. But if I stay stop everything, it now will stop all the other sprites too. Okay, cool. So stop all stops all sprites. Other scripts in this sprite would just be Scratch's stuff. And this script would be just this chunk of block. So that's how stop works. It's Probably something, I don't know if you have to worry about it too much, but there you go. The last part, and this is probably the weirdest. What if you want to like duplicate, especially in a game where like you're shooting projectiles? Typically, in in your stories, you're probably not using this. You can actually create clones of sprites. And then when you like different things when you start as a clone. So I think the best use of this, like if you're shooting like some kind of shooter game, you have the projectiles come out. You might start those projectiles as clones. Um, that's kind of an advanced thing, and I'll leave you to play with that when you need to. But you can create clones of myself, or hey, I can create a clone of the other sprites out here. And then here's an event when you start as a clone, do all this stuff, and you can eventually delete the clone. So maybe when the bullet reaches the end of the screen, it disappears, kind of stuff. So there you go. That is controls. That's it for this video.